So for today's session, I'm just going to do two movements. I'm going to do a balance component. Now the balance is going to be the tuck handstand, and I'm going to do a straight arm push-pull. Depends what you want to call it. So it's a skin the cat. So a straight arm skin the cat movement. So straight arm strength and a balance component, the tuck handstand. I'm going to go and give you some variations of both. So some progressions and some regressions. So just pick whichever level you're at. Jump in, let's have some fun. So for the tuck handstand, I'm going to do a lot more like a bigger warm-up than I normally do, just because my hips are particularly tight and my thoracic shoulders are particularly tight as well. The two components you really need for the tuck handstand. So join in with me on that warm-up if you are tight as well. If you're not so tight, you probably won't need to do so long. Skin the cat warm-up, I'm just going to do some active passive hangs, some scapular pulls, and some protraction push-ups. So I'm just going to start with opening the hips up. So I'm going to go into a cross-legged position, so bring one leg up, bring my shoulder to my knee, rotate, pull in, so trying to get into the glute hip area here for the tuck handstand. So I'll spend about 10-15 seconds here just pulling deep into it. Now I'm going to do this as quick as possible. I'm on a limited time with it. If you have a longer time to warm up, do a bigger warm up. Okay, now I'm going to grab into the crease of the elbow, flex the foot, grab hold of my foot, push the knee away and turn. So I'm really trying to floss into this hip joint, so where the femur goes into the hip. Just be careful with this one. If you are super tight like me, you can easily pull onto the knee itself, try and get into the hip. Okay, and then the same on the opposite side. Now my right side is much tighter, so this is going to be a bigger stretch for me. So that twisting in one. Elbow into the arch of the foot, flex the foot, push the knee. I actually don't like this one, it's too soft around the top. I pinched it out of my daughter's bedroom. So up and down through the spine. Try and lock in where your low back is, so try not to compensate through the low back too much. Be careful you don't compensate through the neck. Okay, then my favourite at the moment is to grab a yoga block. Now only do this one if you're comfortable to get into the spine, be a little bit more aggressive. If you've got any issues with the spine, obviously get it checked first. Don't jump in with the harder stuff. So mid-thoracic, so there. I'm going to straighten the legs. I'm going to go into a little bit of a posterior tilt to stop me going through the low back. And then I'm going to extend as best I can over the yoga block, trying to relax. Just going to spend about 15-20 seconds in the fully relaxed position. Once I get there, I know once I relax enough I can get my head to touch the floor. Okay, so I'm ready to start some handstands. So if you're not freestanding yet, just do exactly the same but up against the wall, so kicking up and kissing the heels to the wall. So I'm just going to do a few entries. See how everything feels. So now I'm just going to start exploring the tuck handstand. Now for me, I'm quite tight in this area, so I need to be careful. I need to really think about how I'm going into it. I need to be concentrating on the knees and the hips angle staying the same as I come down. So I don't want it to just be knee flexion or just be hip flexion. I want to try and be at the same. I'm going to think about lead in. So lead in with the thigh pulling towards the chest and then the knee just bends, as opposed to the knee bending and then pushing me down. So the upper leg is going to do the work to pull towards my chest. I'm just going to have a play with how deep I can go. If you need to, do it against the wall. So back to wall, taking the butt down. I'll show that one in a second. So here now I'm thinking about bringing the thighs down, not letting the shoulders come out. Just see how it feels, go as deep as I can. Trying to keep the shoulders in place and then back out to a hold. Now if you can't do that yet, do it up against the wall. Notice heels are against the wall, and then as I come down, butt comes against the wall. Try and keep the shoulders on top of the hands. And then back out to heels. Now first rep, I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm just going to go to see what the body's telling me. Watch those shoulders, make sure they stay on top of the hands. Now let's get set up for the Skin the Cat. Now I am slightly limited height-wise for the Skin the Cat, but you can definitely work at this height. You could even work on a lower height. I've done that before. Basically the harder positions in the Skin the Cat is when you're in the front lever and the back lever position. So as long as you have room to open up front and back, then you can make it very hard still on lower rings. So to start with, because I can do it quite comfortably, I'm just going to go a very tight tuck, straight arm, full Skin the Cat, and I'm going to do 2 repetitions nice and slow. If you can't pull up with straight arms, you could use bent arms on the way up, but make sure you use straight arms on the way down. So starting in a dead hang position, knees to chest, pull through, go down as deep as you can, but remember you need to get back out, so knees to chest, down nice and slow, back to that start position, and then same again. So if you struggle to get up, use bent arms on the way up or a little bit of a jump. Same here, if you get stuck in the German hang, little jump to come back out. But try and have straight arms on the way down on both sides. Okay, back to the tuck handstand. Now this time I'm going to be nasty. I'm going to do a 30-second hold, chest to wall, and I'm going to focus on the point where I'm at 90 degrees of the hip, so the femur has the biggest impact on my hip position. So the harder it is, to make it harder, you move your hands closer to the wall, but you must keep your shoulders on top of the hands. If it's too hard, move the hands further away. 30 seconds is the goal. If you need to, you can accumulate like 2 sets of 15. Now for me, that was probably borderline whether I was too close to the wall, because that was very intense. So it'll be interesting for me to watch the video back, see where my shoulders are compared to my hands. I suggest you do the same, watch that video back, see where the hands and shoulders are. I would also check your 90 degrees at the hip, because you might feel you're there, but you might not be there. Now to make the Skin the Cat harder, I'm going to start to open up from that tight tuck position. So basically in planche, front lever, back lever positions, Skin the Cat. The more I can stay into a ball, the easier it is. So if we think about the distance our knees are from our chest and our heels to our butt. So the first thing we can do to make it harder is just slowly move the knees away. This is, increases the weight towards the hip, decreases the weight towards the head and shoulders. So if we want to make it easier, I pull back. If we want to make it harder, I pull away. So with the Skin the Cat, ideally move your knees a little bit further away if you can do it with straight arms, but try and keep that distance exactly the same all the way around. Now what most people will do is they'll find that on the hard bits, they'll bring their knees towards their chest, and on the easy bits, they'll take the knees away from the chest. But see if you can keep it constant all the way around. Let's see if we can do it on the rings now. So still starting from that dead hang position ideally. Remember, if you can't do the straight arm version yet, work on that in a tight tuck before you start to open up. So instead of bringing knees to chest now, I'm going to try and keep them around this 90-degree position. So back to the tuck handstand. This time I'm going to go a 30-second hold but freestanding. So if you don't have freestanding, go back to the wall with butt lightly touching, but try and mimic the actual position you'll be in when you freestand. So don't lean on the wall too much. So my goal here is to keep the shoulders on top of the hands, keeping the legs squeezed together, and go as deep as I can, but to hold for 30 seconds. So you could get into a really good position, but if you can only hold for 2 seconds, it's not what we're aiming for in this set. It's the 30 seconds time and attention in one go. So with the Skin the Cat now, I'm just going to keep taking that further and further. So I'm going to try and open my body as much as I can, trying to keep it the same. Now I am restricted with that top bar, so I'm going to have to tuck in when I go round, but I'm going to get as close as I can to a 360 pull. So a 360 pull is the same as a Skin the Cat, but you have a straight body all the way around. Now I might not be able to get 2 reps of those, I haven't done them for a while, so it'll be interesting to see. But wherever you're at, just stay at that 1 to 2 rep range movement and try and have that same control all the way around. Remember, the main goal with the Skin the Cat is to get the straight arm for the full movement. Yeah, as expected, that one was quite tough. I just about got it on the first rep. It will be interesting to watch the video back. And I'm a little bit limited on range with that top bar, but second rep couldn't pull back up with straight body. Now last variation with the tuck handstand that I'm going to do is repetition. So I'm going to go from a straight handstand to the deepest tuck I can, and then back to straight, and I'm going to aim to get 10 repetitions of that. Ideally each rep will look the same. If anything, I want to try and get a little bit deeper on each tuck, not less depth. Less deep, not so deep. So that's the goal. Now remember, if you need to use the wall, use the wall. Now when using the wall version, I'll show that in a second. So heels touching the wall. When you come to your deepest tuck position, butt touching. When you go back up to straight, heels touch, and try and go between the two. Aiming for 10 reps, accumulate if you need to. So that's the session for today, the tuck handstand and the Skin the Cat. I've actually never done that combination before. I've done press handstand and Skin the Cat, but I've never done the tuck with the Skin the Cat. I actually find the tuck pretty challenging. So to add that with the Skin the Cat, and especially to go for a 360 pull that I haven't done before, I found quite taxing. So it'll be interesting to know how you guys go with that. Stick it down in the comments or send me a message. Thumbs up and subscribe. I plan to carry on doing this with my workouts and also just keep doing the tutorials and stuff as we go. But Definitely stick it down there if you want anything in particular. Thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.